The Daily Adventure Incense has been out in Pokemon Go for a bit over a week now, and players just want to know what is the likelihood? What are the chances of them actually catching one of the Galar Legendary Birds? So in this video, I'm going to be letting you know what the true catch rate per encounter is for the Galarian birds. I'm also going to talk about how Pokemon Go could improve this feature to improve, players' engagement with the Daily Adventure Incense. So let's get into it. So checking the catch mechanics page on GamePress here, you can see what the equation is for being able to catch a Pokemon in Pokemon Go. The probability is 1 minus 1 minus the base catch rate of the Pokemon divided by 2 times the CP multiplier. The CP multiplier is actually based on the level of the Pokemon, but we're calling it the CP multiplier. And then this is taken to the power of extra multipliers. Now the extra multipliers are going to be what ball you're using, Ultra Ball being the best. If you're doing a curveball or not, you should always be doing a curveball if you're using a berry, in this case the golden raspberry, and then if you're getting the catch bonus or not, the excellent throw, great throw, nice throw, or none of the above. And then there's also the medal. The medal that you get for catching a specific type of Pokemon, the better the medal is, maximum being platinum, the higher chances you have of catching the Pokemon, the higher the multiplier. If the Pokemon has 2 different types and the medals are 2 different levels of medal, it'll take the average of those 2 medals. When it comes to CPM, the CPM is going to be the same for all Pokemon of the same level. When it comes to the base catch rate though, that can vary from species to species. When it comes to most legendary Pokemon, they have a 2% base catch rate. When it comes to the Galar Birds, however, they have an abysmal 0.3% catch rate, which is significantly lower than 2%. However, the multipliers do help you out, so it's not as dire as it may sound from that. So plugging all that information in, I'm able to make this graph showing the true catch rate of the Galar birds here. Now, one additional thing I added to the formula would be the critical capture rate. Right now, we don't know specifically what the critical capture rate is or how it's rolled. In this, we're assuming that it's going to be about 1%, which is what the current data points towards it being about roughly 1%. And then we're also treating it like it's being rolled independently of the other multipliers. And then to add to that, there is also a flee rate for the Pokemon. The legendary birds, if you've ever encountered them, it feels like they flee immediately all the time, like a 100% flee rate, but it's actually a 90% flee rate, which means 10% of the time they'll pop out of the ball and stay, and you'll get another chance to throw at it. So we have a closed form of an equation that includes, accounts for the 10% it actually staying rate. Right? So yeah, you can see here that at the lowest level, you're going to have the highest possible catch rate, up to about 35% at level 1, but it drops down pretty quickly down to about like 8 or 7%. And then if you're curious about the most excellent and just excellent, not all excellents, greats, and nices have the same modifier to your catch rate. So if you're like doing an excellent that's like this, it's going to be different than an excellent that's like this. It's going to be based on the size of the ring. So most excellent is the highest the multiplier can go, which is 2, and then just excellent is the lowest the excellent multiplier can go, which is 1.7. And then I also included the average of the great, which is going to be 1.5, and then I skipped over nice and went for the big miss, which is just 1. Now, if you want to ogle this graphic, I have it on my article on GamePress talking about the catch rate for the Galarian birds. In this article, I give some other tips regarding the Daily Adventure Incense, and I also talk about how good the Galar birds are in the meta. So link in the description to my article, of course, so you can reference this graphic a little bit easier and get some more information on the birds and Daily Adventure Incense. So when it comes to like the low CP, the low level of the birds, you have a pretty decent chance there. You're looking at about like a 30 to 35% chance to capture the bird. But that still doesn't mean you're going to catch the bird, right? And then when it comes to the higher end of the level spectrum here, you only have about like a 5 to 8% chance of catching the bird, which is quite low. What this suggests is for most players to have a 50% probability of actually capturing one of these birds. It's going to take about 9 encounters. If you want a 75% probability of actually getting them, you're looking at about 19 encounters. And if you're looking for a 90% probability, let's say you're just having a rough time, they keep running on you, It may take you up to 30 encounters, maybe even more, like a 99% probability, like almost guaranteed. It's going to take about 60 encounters. And I don't know about you guys, but over the past week here, I've only encountered one of these birds. So it could take a very long time to actually get one of these birds. And I think this kind of presents a problem with the Daily Adventure Incense system that Pokemon Go should be willing to address here. And that is, if they want people to participate with the Daily Adventure Incense, they want people to have their 15-minute adventure most days of the week, right? Then they have to make it like actually achievable and reasonably achievable for players to achieve this goal of getting the Galar birds. And I think something that would vastly improve this would be adding a pity system to the encounter rate and the catch rate and probably the flee rate of the Galar birds here, or whatever the chase Pokemon they decide to cycle in and out of the Daily Adventure Incense. Basically, every day that goes by and every encounter that you have with the Daily Adventure Incense that isn't the chase Pokemon, your encounter rate for that Pokemon goes up. And then once you finally do capture that Pokemon, the encounter rate resets. Every time you do encounter the specific Pokemon and you fail to capture it, then your capture rate goes up and the flee rate goes down for that Pokemon. So presumably over time, as you participate in this feature more and more, it could be reasonably achievable for a player to capture one of these birds in the wild. If Pokemon Go wanted to go even further beyond improving this feature for themselves, they could also add your current like bonus to the daily research whatever page. Basically, you scroll down on it, and then it'll show whatever the chase Pokemon is for the Daily Adventure Incense, and it'll show you what your current bonus is to the encounter rate and the ability to capture the Pokemon. That way players would have, not only a reasonably achievable goal, but they'd be able to track their progress towards that goal. And this is great for the players, but it's even better for Pokemon Go, because if their goal is engagement with this system, then it keeps people more engaged. It keeps people willing to participate with it. And if you're thinking that Pokemon Go wouldn't do that because, these things are going to get added to raids eventually, why would they want to hurt people's desire to raid these Pokemon? Pokemon Go should already be aware of this, but players already don't care about raids, especially for new Pokemon that aren't meta on their initial release, because they're not shiny. A lot of players are waking up to the realization that, like, what's the point of going ham on a raid boss that isn't meta when it's not even shiny yet? Why not wait until it gets re-released in the future as a shiny? They've caught onto the program. They caught onto the algorithm. So when it comes to a new release, they should already realize that it's basically worthless. On top of that, through this system, I don't know how they could balance the numbers, but if they balance the numbers right, I'd imagine most players would be getting like 2 to maybe 4, if they balance the math right, of the chase Pokemon. That probably isn't going to be a hundo. I mean, the IVs scale from 0 to 15, so the probability of getting a hundo from this instead of raids is already significantly lower than what it's going to be for raids. So hundo chasers there wouldn't get satisfied right away either. So I just think it'd be a smart move for Pokemon Go to go about it that way. At any rate, that's all I gotta say about the Galar Birds and Adventure Incense right now. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And yeah, if you want to know more about Adventure Incense and the Galar Birds themselves, make sure to check out my article on GamePress, linked in the description, of course, going over all this information with some extra details sprinkled in for you. And if you like this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description.